All right. Well, Crawford may have a formula to compete or beat Canelo. We know that Tevin Farmer has a formula to compete with William Zepeda. We saw that last November when William Zepeda won a split decision over Tevin Farmer. Pretty big surprise that the fight was as competitive as it was. Tevin Farmer, former 130-pound champion, moving back up in weight to 135, incredibly competitive over in Saudi Arabia. So much so, Sergio, that these two guys are going to run it back on Saturday in Cancun. I admit I was shocked at the way this fight played out. And you had said going in that it was going to be a much more competitive fight than I believed it was going to be. And it turned out to be the case. I don't think either one of us believed that Farmer was going to knock Zepeda down and be that tough against him. But he was in this fight. And it proved, Sergio, not that it needed more evidence, that just because fighter A beats fighter B, and then fighter B beats fighter C, it doesn't mean fighter A is going to beat fighter C. And that's kind of what I had going in, which, in reference to the fact that Jojo Diaz beat Tevin Farmer, but then Jojo Diaz was wiped out by William Zepeda. And that was kind of in my mind going into that first fight. Tevin Farmer turned out to be a much more live dog than we thought. Now he gets another opportunity at this interim title that William Zepeda has. 12-round fight this time. We got to get into that. What do you think of the rematch? Like, does Tevin Farmer, can he surprise everyone again and pull off an upset?
Ooh, I'm so glad we transitioned into this question because we got a perfect example of a power puncher in Zepeda versus a non-power punching boxer with no power in his punches. And Farmer was still able to drop an Iron Chin Mexican, was still able to get the respect and rock him a couple of times and almost win a decision. There you go. There's a perfect transition from the last question that we just had in the last argument. Power is not enough. Now, you know when it is enough? Whenever they do it once again, whenever you have rematches, whenever the slower puncher, the flat-footed puncher, has a second chance at a guy that moves around and is slick and is very accurate with his punches and counter punching. The second time around is not as easy for the boxer. You know why? Because he doesn't have enough power to keep him off. The second time, yes, the rematch. So I think in this fight, Zepeda will have a lot more success, especially the second time around, because boxers only surprise punchers in that first fight. That first fight, they come in exceptional shape. They come in with a damn great strategy, but they don't have enough. They don't have that other gear. And if you look at Tevin Farmer's resume, Mannix, which I'm sure you have if you're studying this fight, he's in a lot of close fights.
Mm.
Even in the fights that he wins, they're close fights. So the fights that he loses, wins, and that one draw that he has, he's in close fights because he doesn't have the power to change the momentum of the fight in close fights. So yeah, this time around, I think Zepeda is going to be a much bigger favorite, even to stop Farmer, I'll say.
Yeah, he did have a good game plan, Farmer, that is, coming into this fight. That counter left that he was trying to land for the first half was working. Even in the fourth round when he landed that big shot, like beautiful. He like slipped the right hand, I think it was, of Zepeda, and then came back with that counter left. It was just a picture perfect shot from Tevin Farmer. But what I noticed watching that fight back was that, as the rounds continued, that's when Zepeda started to have more and more success in the second half of the fight. That's how he rallied and was able to pull off the split decision win. This is now going to be a 12-round fight. Can Tevin Farmer hold up from this type of volume attack from Zepeda over 12? Remember, the numbers, once again, widely favored William Zepeda. I think he landed threw 180 more punches, landed like 60-something more punches, according to CompuBox. That's going to be tough for Tevin Farmer to match. To me, his best chance of coming away with a win is to really load up on that counter left. Just be looking for it over and over again. It's going to mean exposing himself to some of these attacks from Zepeda. And maybe it means he gets knocked out himself, but I don't think he throws enough punches to compete with Zepeda. He does throw good power shots, but I don't think he throws enough punches. And in a 12-round fight, I think it's Zepeda that's going to be the fresher guy, because we've seen that. We've seen Zepeda in against some pretty good fighters like Jojo Diaz, Maxie Hughes, among others. And he just seems to get stronger as the fight goes on. So if I'm Tevin Farmer, I'm letting that counter left go early. I'm trying to get a knockout early on, because we have seen Zepeda vulnerable. He was knocked down early in his fight in that stay busy fight he had in Tijuana a couple of years ago. He gets knocked down by Tevin Farmer. Like, that chin is a little bit suspect on William Zepeda. So If I'm Tevin Farmer, I'm looking for that counter left all night long.
Yeah, and uppercuts as well. These are two southpaws. Southpaws are accustomed to having the advantage versus another orthodox fighter, and both these guys aren't accustomed to seeing each other's style in front of them. So the left-handed punches that are coming from the same stance. I know I'm going to throw you off here. Those are the ones that are going to surprise the left-hander. So I think uppercuts are going to be key here for Farmer. If I were Farmer, it's uppercuts. It's that jab. Keep popping that jab to the face, to the chest, to the belly of an aggressive fighter like Zepeda, and surprise him with that left uppercut. It's a sneaky punch that Farmer can throw because he has big shoulders. He has wider shoulders than Zepeda. He hides behind. He hides his chin behind his shoulder, and that's when he came with that straight left hand. If he could surprise Zepeda with that same left hand, but come in under, I think that's where he can actually do something big. And if he rocks Zepeda, and if those legs buckle, Farmer will go for the knockout. It'll be something that no one has done, and it'll be incredible if it happens. But like I said, there is a pathway for him to do that. It's just going to be very difficult to do it, especially if you tack on 2 more rounds into this fight. 10 rounds was already difficult for Farmer. At 6 more minutes, those championship rounds will catch up to the older fighter.
Do you think that Farmer exposed anything in Zepeda? Because going into that fight, the storyline was, all right, he's facing a slick, defensive-minded southpaw, exactly the kind of fighter or comparable type of fighter to what he'll see down the line against Shakur Stevenson. Now, Tevin Farmer made it clear all week long we were in Saudi Arabia, like, I am not Shakur Stevenson. I fight differently than Shakur Stevenson. But like the basic premise kind of remains. And whether he won or lost, he struggled in that fight against Tevin Farmer. Did Tevin expose anything that, that William Zepeda needs to get cleaned up going into this fight?
No, he didn't expose them. I mean, everyone knows what the Mexican style is like, and everyone knows what is the issues that give Mexican style problems, and that's a mover, a boxer, a jabber, a body puncher, a guy can carry a game plan to the end, and someone that's tough too. You have to have toughness. You have to have heart. You have to have some kind of chin. Tevin Farmer brings all of the above. He's a Philly fighter. Of course, he has heart. Of course, he's been in those gym wars, and he's a tough dude, man. He can take some good shots. I mean, this is a guy that got knocked out in his pro debut, still came back and won a world championship. That shows heart. That shows resilience. That shows intelligence. That shows character, man. That's what Farmer brings to the table, and at the experience and the bitter taste in his mouth that he should have won the first fight, maybe it can make him dangerous. But like I said, second time around is going to favor the puncher instead of the boxer.
I love though that Farmer is getting this fight because
Mhm.
99% of the time, when the guy you bring in for specific purposes, and the purposes of this fight, like we said, was to prepare Zepeda for Shakur Stevenson. 99% of the time, you don't see a rematch in a situation like this. There's too much or too little reward for too high a risk. But Tevin Farmer is getting that chance. 34 years old. He's had 2 competitive fights, first against Raymond Morataya, now against William Zepeda. He gets one more chance to prove he belongs at that top level.